everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today we're going to start our series of our Ultimate Top 100 board games. Now I want to remind all of you out there of who we are. First of all, our age. I'll be 68 years old in about 4 weeks, so we're senior citizens and our taste in games will reflect that. But I want to tell you how we made this list. First of all, there is not going to be any really complex games in our top 100. We don't play games that are really complex because they take longer to play, first of all, and then I just don't have fun. Once the complexity of a game reaches a certain level, it just isn't fun for me anymore. So Lori's kind of subjected to my limitations intellectually, so we won't have any really complex games. Also on this list, there will be no collectible card games like Magic the Gathering. There will be no living card games like Lord of the Rings. There will be no app-driven games. I'm talking about games where you have to have an app to play the game. I have some games that you use an app for atmospheric flavor, but you don't have to use the app. Also, all of the games I'm going to talk about play well at 2 unless I tell you. Also, all play within 90 minutes or less, and there will be no games with player elimination in them. And all of the games on this list will be in our library. So all of that being said, and I'm glad to be able to tell you exactly how we made this list. So let's get to it. Here's a Bones Collector Ultimate Top 100 coming right at you. And at number 100, I'm going to talk about games that I get out and set up when I'm going to host a game night. It's games that you can explain in 5 minutes and people can have a lot of fun playing. They understand them, they look fun to begin with, and they're really interested in playing them. And the first game I'm going to talk about is Crokinole on this board right here. Now the only downside to Crokinole, of course, is that they can be quite expensive, these boards. I got a deal on this one. We got it for $100. It was a Kickstarter thing and I don't know how they're priced out there. This is just a dexterity game where you're going to be flicking these discs and you score points depending on where your discs end up here. And Gravy's going to give me a hard time. Come on, bro. And then there's a rule where if you're flicking a disc and your opponent has discs on the table, you have to at least strike one of those discs before your disc can stay on the table. So there's a little bit of rules to it, but not much. And people really love this game. And you can play it at 4-player too. That's pretty cool. So that's Crokinole. Dude. Come here. Hey. And so where are we at? You want to do this?
Sure.
Okay. The other game that you can see right here is Tumbling Dice, and I love this game. Again, these are hits. These are proven hits at parties. People like to play these games, and when you get them out, it's just non-stop fun. But in Tumbling Dice, it's another flicking game. Each player is going to have their own dice, and you'll have 4 of them, and you simply take turns with your dice, flicking them down the board, and wherever your die ends on this board, that says 3 times your die value, which is a 1. That's only 3 points. That kind of stinks. But you can hit other people's dice and do various things when you're trying to flick these dice. You don't have any specific destination in mind. You're just trying to score as many points as you can by hitting these multipliers down at the end of this board. It's a fantastic game, and I don't know how much this game costs. I don't think it's all that bad, but
it's not
I don't know if you can find it or not, but it's a fantastic, fun game. People love it. The other game that I have on the table here is Klask. I don't know if you've played Klask, but it's just air hockey, and you have a magnetic thing underneath the table here, and my cat Gravy's going to love that. And you're going to have a little ball you're trying to put in these holes. You have scorekeepers here, a little wooden table, and people can sit at the table and play this all night, and they do. If you have a game night, people are going to play Crokinole, Klask, and Tumbling Dice all night. Okay, there we go. Now, also, I have some easier games that are board games that I like to set up for people to play, and I want to talk about those for a minute. One of them is Picture Perfect, and Picture Perfect is a pattern building game where you have a party room and you have guests that are going to be in that party room, and you pass envelopes that are going to give you specific requirements for those particular people in the party room as to where they need to be placed in order to score points. And then at the end of the game, you can take a picture with your telephone and you have a wonderful picture to show for your efforts, and people really enjoy this game, and it's very easy to explain and very easy and quick to play. Those are the types of games you want out on a game night. And then another game we like to set up, because it's gorgeous, is Yak. And Yak is another game where you're building a wall and you're making an action selection of these yak wagons that go around a rondel, and you're building a little wall in a pattern in a certain way to score different points according to end of game goal cards that are going to be on the board. And it's just as cute as the dickens and fun to look at, fun to play. And Lori loves this game. It's in our library, and that's Yak. Another game I like to get out and show people is a memory game called Chicken Cha Cha Cha. Chicken Cha 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 is a simple memory game where you have a bunch of face down tiles in the center of the table, and then a path that goes around those tiles with a big chunky wooden chicken on it, and each player has a wooden chicken, and you're going to move around that path. In order to move to the next tile that's in the path, you have to find that face down tile in the center of the board. So you get to pick one up and look at it and show everybody, but if it's not the one you're looking for, you place it face down back on the center of the table and just lose your turn, and the next person goes. And eventually you're going to memorize where those tiles are at, and the first one to memorize those, of course, is going to move their chicken faster around the track and take the other chicken's tail feathers as they go. It's a wonderful, lovely, fun, fast game, and these are the games that I get out when we have a game night. I do not want to get out anything that takes longer than 2 or 3 minutes to explain on a game night. But these are the games we get out when we have a game night. I want to tell you about them. That is position number 100 in our Ultimate Top 100 board games. At number 99, we have 5 games that I like to tell people when they ask me what's a good starting point for me in board gaming. And the thing I think about is people who don't play hobby board games, they want something that's going to excite them. And every one of these 5 games is exciting to look at on the table. And that's hugely important when you're trying to get people to play hobby board games. They have to be interested in the games, and these 5 games look very interesting when they're on the table. The pieces in them are very nice. We have Coldwater Crown and Freshwater Fly by Brian Shure. I love both these games, and you don't have to be a fisherman to like them, but it sure doesn't hurt, because Freshwater Fly, you're kind of catching fish that are going upstream, and in Coldwater Crown, you're in a fishing tournament. And both games are lovely. This has got a dice mechanic in it, and this one has a very similar mechanic to Raiders of the North Sea, where you place a worker, take a worker. Wild Serengeti is gorgeous. The pieces in it, the Animeeples are just beautiful, and I would own this game just for the box cover, because that's absolutely gorgeous. Chai Tea, I've kind of punished these poor kids that made this game because they didn't really fulfill I don't know if they ever did fulfill all the obligations for this game, but time to forgive them. I'm putting this game in my top 100 of an introductory Euro-style games. All of these fit that bill. Cape May is a gorgeous game also, and it takes place up in New England at Cape May, and you're going to be building buildings, and it's a hand management mechanic that drives this game, and you have these buildings that go on the board. It's just absolutely beautiful. But I tell you what, if you can pick up a copy of this Chai Tea Deluxe model, which is what we got. We did back this on Kickstarter. We did get our game, but a bunch of people didn't. But it is absolutely beautiful, and I'm sad that for people that maybe didn't get their game. I hope that eventually everybody got those. Contract fulfillment game has a cute little mechanic with these acrylic tiles when you're doing a selection of those tiles when they're in a row with each other, so you get to take more than one. These 5 games, to me, are the ones that I would tell people, let me start you out here if you want to get into Euro gaming at all, because it's got simple set of Euro game mechanics, but the game itself is absolutely beautiful. So that's number 99. Okay, continuing on to number 98. Number 98 is Ryan Laukatt's Empires of the Void 2. Now, I did not ever have the opportunity to play Empires of the Void, which is the first game in this universe, but this one is fantastic, and to me, it's the best game Ryan Laukatt has ever done. This game is fantastic. It is an area control game. It has an action selection mechanism and a follow mechanism for the other players that are in the game, and you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful board. This game is absolutely gorgeous on the table. This is the prettiest game, one of the prettiest games that we have in our library. And I did not expect this game to be this good. I'll honestly say that. But I was at a flea market, a board game flea market, and I got this game for 15 bucks. And it was a Kickstarter, still in the shrink. And I said, what the heck, it's Ryan Laukat, let's give it a try. So we took it home, played it, and needless to say, I fell in love with it. It's my favorite, absolute favorite game I've ever played by Ryan Laukat. He outdid himself, worked hard on this game, and the finished product is evidence of that hard work. So I really enjoy this game. That's number 97, Empires of the Void. Number 98, sorry. Number 97, this is called Pillars of the Earth, and this is a game by Michael Reinick and Stefan Stadler, and this game is by Michael Reinick and with Inka and Marcus Brand, the people that brought you Village and Raja of the Ganges. And these are very easy introductory Euro games, and by easy I mean if you're a board game hobbyist, these are light. But for someone to pick up and go home and read the rule book that doesn't play hobby board games, this might be a little bit of a struggle. Turia I hang on to because it has a unique action selection mechanism with towers that are on the four corners of the board, and I just can't get rid of it because of that mechanic. You are going to select your action by the four faces of the towers that are facing you. So you have four towers, the faces on each one of those towers are going to be the only actions you can select from. And then once you select the action on one of those towers, you'll spin it, and it has arrows on the top to tell you where to do that. And it's such a wonderful game because of that, and it drives this whole game. And the avatar is shared by all players so that you may want to do something on one section of the board and the next player takes a turn and they move the avatar to another place. So you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't want you to do that. But it's the way this game works, and I really love it. You're trying to search out the prince and princess to marry either one of them, whichever you happen to want to marry in the castle. And it's absolutely a hoot. I've loved it since I've gotten it. You can get this game dirt cheap, and there's a picture of it on the back, and it's just, I don't know, it's one of those games I think people will let go. But not me. I love it. I'm glad it's in my library. First time I played it, I fell in love with it, and I've kept it ever since. Now, this game has been around for a while, The Pillars of the Earth, and it was a great book, it was a great movie, and Michael Reinick and when I say Stefan Stadler did a wonderful job designing this game. And it's got some wonderful game pieces in it. It uses some card mechanics for your action selections that you're going to use, and on the board you're building an actual cathedral in the center of the board out of chunky wooden pieces that come with the game. And I loved this game, and lo and behold, I think it was on Amazon, they were blowing it out for 20 bucks, and we picked it up. I said, get that game, I'm gonna play it. Even at $20, if I don't like it, I'll sell it. So we picked it up. It plays from 2 to 4 players, and in about, I think we played this in about a little over an hour. And after the first play, I said, wow, that was a fun time. Now here's the thing, you have to use a 2-player variant that is on Board Game Geek, because it says for 2 to 4 players, but the 2-player variant that's in the box isn't that good. The one that's on Board Game Geek is better, and that's the one we use when we're playing 2-player, because it has a bidding mechanism in it that has to be altered a little bit. So yeah, that's The Pillars of the Earth by Michael Reinick and Stefan Stadler. Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, and that's number 97. At number 96 is a couple of beautiful games. These are a little bit heavier than what you've seen so far. These probably are over a 3.0 on Board Game Geek. Not heavy by any means, but they do have some complexity to them. So this would be a game, these two games that hobby gamers would call them medium weight games, but they're absolutely fantastic. Zhanguo is a game designed by Marco Canetta and Stefania Niccolini, and it's published by What's Your Game for 2 to 4 players. And this plays in an hour at 2-player. But I love this game for this reason. It takes a simple mechanic and builds a whole game around it. And there are other games that you're going to see on my list, and I love it when game designers can do that. You're simply on your turn going to play a card to your player board that you have in front of you, or you're going to play that card on the board somewhere, the main board. And everything else chain reacts off of that. And it absolutely is one of the best game designs ever. I love Zhanguo, but it's an absolutely fabulous game. Oh, you want to see the back? Okay, there's the back of the game. Okay. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. I love What's Your Game. They were at one time an outstanding publisher, going above and beyond when it came to publishing, because the pieces in the game were very nice and they were doing just a great job with it. And the games that they do put out and publish are fantastic, and I've got several by them. but that's Zangwill. And then this is La Granja, but this is by Andreas Olendahl and Michael Keller. And this is a masterpiece, I'm telling you. This game has to be in your library at some point. There's been a reprint. I don't know if they changed anything in the game. I know they pushed up the production of it and the quality of the game pieces and so forth. But I love this game from Stronghold just the way it is. It's very, very nicely done. And it's a dice drafting game you use for the central mechanism. And it uses a player board where you have cards that you can play 4 different ways on that player board, and that is amazing. You can use the left or right, the top or the bottom, and it does a different function depending on which side of the card you use. So absolutely fabulous. That's La Granja, and that was number 96, I believe. Okay, at number 95, I'm going to tip my hat to games that are mass produced, games you can walk into Target and pick up, and that game is Sequence, Qwirkle, and Star Wars Villainous. Now these games are mass produced, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't know if you've played this game or if you haven't played these games. Hey, let me know in the comments below if you've played any of these 3 games, because they're simply fabulous. There are times when Lori and I will get out Sequence, throw down the board in the middle of the table, take those decks of cards and just play this thing 2 or 3 times in a row. First one to get 2 sequences of 5 in a row wins the game. This was a gift. That's what it was. So they bought me a gift. That was my daughter-in-law, wasn't it? I always tell people, don't buy a board game or a board game, because they have specific tastes and things that they're looking for, and you just end up probably getting them something they're on the sale of the garage sale. But hey, I loved this when I played it. I told Laura, hey, that's a lot of fun. We were in a pub one night with my sister and her husband, and it was sitting on the shelf in the pub, and I said, hey, I'm going to show you guys how to play this game. And we played it. Everybody had a great time, and that's what board gaming is all about, stuff like that. Those are great experiences. But that's Sequence. And I tell you what, I bet they sold a ton of these. And Qwirkly, I call it Qwirkly, it's Qwirkle. And this is a game that's produced very, you got these nice chunky black pieces that you're going to do some pattern building and matching up with and scoring in different ways. Qwirkle is absolutely a lot of fun, and there's times and places for games like this. I'm not embarrassed to have them in my library. As a matter of fact, I'm proud they're there because I love playing them, and I'm not embarrassed at all. Some people would be, not me. I love these 2 games, and I love this 3rd game, Star Wars Villainous. I've never played the other Villainous games, the Disney. I was curious about it, but when I watched it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But then someone, my daughter-in-law again, bought me this gift, Star Wars Villainous, and I had the best time playing it, Lori and I. And you're simply going to use hand management system to do everything in this game. It's the villains from Star Wars, and the goal that they have in the game mimics exactly the goal they had in the movie. So that's very cool. And you have 2 decks of cards that you must be familiar with in order to do well in this game. Has some cute little minis, and they're not that gray plastic. Thank you very much, Sparrow Hall. Yeah, thank you for not giving us gray plastic minis in Star Wars Villainous, but I love this game, and I tell you what, I like it so much, I'll probably get the expansions when they make some. So those 3 games are my tip of the hat, tip of the cap to mass-produced games. They're not all bad. Some of them are a lot of fun and very good, and these are 3 that I keep in my library. Okay, now we're on number 94 already in my Ultimate Top 100 board games. U.S. Telegraph is a reprint or reskinning of Attica. I had never played Attica before, but I watched somebody play it, and I thought I really liked that game. And then when it came out with U.S. Telegraph, I was in my local game store. It was sitting on the floor. Someone had brought it in and traded it in for something. And I asked the store owner, so how much you want for that? And he said, 15 bucks. I said, that's mine. So this is U.S. Telegraph. It's a route building game, and you're going to have buildings on your player board, a number of them, and the first one to get those out will win the game, or the first one to build a route from one city to the other will win the game. So whichever comes first will get that player the victory in the game. They did a nice job of reskinning this game and reissuing it, and it can be played in about 45 minutes.
And Super Meeple.
Yeah. Oh, Super Meeple. Yeah, they always do a good job. They did Takoffer that we have, and we really, really enjoy it. Super Meeple is the publisher. This is by Marcel Andre Casasola Merkel. So I don't know if he's done any other board games, but I love U.S. Telegraph, and that's why it's in my top 100. Okay, continuing on, this is number 93 in my Ultimate Top 100. I love abstract strategy games, and these are some that I keep in my library all the time. Pentago is an interesting game. As you can see here on the front, you have these quadrants that you can spin, and so your turn consists of turning one of those quadrants and placing a marble, and the first one to have 5 in a row wins the game. I love that game. My grandson calls it the brain burning game, doesn't he?
Calls it the mind twisting game.
Mind twisting.
It says on the box.
It says mind twisting game on.
That's what he calls it, not Pentago.
Whenever he comes over, he says, "Hey, Papa, get out that mind twisting game." He loves to play that. Kamisato is a game that Luke Hector over at Broken Meeple, I was watching one of his videos, and he talked about this game, and I was intrigued by it, and so I picked up a copy of it, and guess what? I played it, and I'm still intrigued by it. It's absolutely outstanding. What a heck of a nice game. We got some beautiful game pieces. Oh, I'm just going to take the lid off just for a second to show you. This is the board. It's absolutely beautiful, the colorful board, and then these pieces, they're kind of like the rooks in chess, and each one of them have a different color on top. And when you're moving on that board, wherever you end your movement, whatever color square you end your movement on, your opponent has to move that piece on their turn. So you're trying to manipulate your opponent. I'm telling you what, I've loved this game since the first time I played it. I enjoy it very much. It stays in my library. That's Kamisato. And I take this to family events and just set it up on the table, show people how to play it. There's someone playing it all the time. It's sitting there. So that's pretty cool. This is Seikatsu, A Pet's Life. Now, Seikatsu came out before this. This is a reskin of it, and it was using flowers. In this particular case, you're grouping pets together and colors together, trying to score. And I think this plays up to, it says 1 to 4 players, but I think it's only 3, isn't it? Something like that.
If you play 4, you have to play teams.
Yeah. Nice chunky pieces, acrylic tiles that you use in this game, and there's a picture of them on the back of the box. But it's very light. But it's fun. I mean, all these games are light and fun. Aqualin is an absolutely wonderful game. 2-player only in this game.
So
Kamisato is 2-player only.
So is Pentago.
This is it?
Yeah. They're all 2-player only.
I guess it is.
Except Pet's Life.
Yeah. So anyways, yes, these are 2-player only. Pentago, Kamisato, Aqualin. And Aqualin is, again, acrylic tiles like Azul. You have a small board that you're going to be playing on. Your turn is going to consist of moving a tile and placing a tile, so that you're going to move your opponent's tiles and they're going to move yours. So if you don't like that, that's a 2-player experience, but it's so much fun. And one of you is going to be grouping animals together and the other one will be grouping colors together. And you're going to, inevitably, that your opponent's going to move something that you don't want them to move, and vice versa. And the trick is to try to do the best with what you get left over. So it's pretty cool.
The game is called Aqualin. School or get schooled.
School or get schooled. You want to get out a game, hey, you're tired, you've had a big day, well, let's play a game before we go to bed. You know, for 10, 15 minutes, right there. Like 15-minute affair. And absolutely fun, you'll grin. This game is so deceptively difficult. Goblet, we've had this for, gosh, how long?
20 years at least.
Oh my gosh, we've had this game
way
for
before
ages.
We started into modern hobby board games.
Oh yeah, we had this for ages. That's like a board right there, and you've got these pieces, and it's like those Chinese dolls that you...
I think those are Russian.
Russian, okay, Russian. I don't know my geography. There's the pieces in the game, and you're going to move these pieces to try to get 4 in a row. When whoever gets 4 in a row wins the game. But you can't remember like where you put your pieces, so it's got a memory element to it.
Other people can cover up your pieces.
Yeah, so there's so much that goes on in this game, and people discount this. They look at it and say, "Oh, that's not going to be a challenge." It's a challenge. Let me tell you. You get to play this game against somebody who knows what they're doing. You're really going to work hard to survive. But I love Goblet. We've had it for so long, and I tell everybody about it. I just can never get rid of this game. Hey, those are my abstract strategy games at number 93. Okay, here we go again. This is number 92. And in 92 spot, I have these 3 games: Navigador, Sabika, and Colors of Paris. Hard, less hard, pretty easy. But the thing that these have in common is they have a rondel as their central mechanism. And in Sabika, you can see how beautiful that is. This game is absolutely fabulous. I enjoy this. I was in my local game store. He had it on clearance for $30, and this box is heavy. There's a lot of game in here. And the designer is German P. Milan, and he's got another game out right now. Oh, it was Bitoku. And I had not played Bitoku, so I was a little hesitant because he's kind of new on the scene. But man, we picked this game up, and I knew the MSRP on this game was, I think, $60.
60. He had it for half
Yeah,
off.
half off. So I picked it up. I took the lid off of it, first of all. He had a rental copy in there, and I was impressed with what was in the box. I said, what the heck? Let's give it a go. So we took it home. Absolutely love it. I enjoy Sabika. Working that rondelle is something else. And all of this stuff happens all around it, and it's worth playing, folks. It's absolutely fabulous. That's Sabika. Surprised me. And this game is Navigador by Matt Gertz. Now, Matt Gertz did a game called Concordia that we had in our library for a long time. And it's kind of similar to this game, except in Concordia, it's a hand management game where you're using cards to do your action selection. Here, you're doing a rondelle. And we like this game a little better. Yeah, this game looks a little bit more like a old world shipping game. And the map, which is the main board, is absolutely gorgeous. It just looks like something that an old grizzly captain of a ship would throw down on the table on your clipper ship and tell you, here's where we're going, and just tell you where we're going and explaining everything that we're up to. But I absolutely love working the rondelle as a central mechanism in this game. And I don't know how hard this game is to find. It might be difficult. This is for 2 to 5 players. It's got kind of a funny shaped box, just like Concordia, which can be aggravating if you have shells that only hold certain size boxes. So that's kind of tough. But this game is absolutely fabulous. That's Navigador. The other game I want to tell you about is Colors of Paris. It also has a rondelle in it, and it has a ring that moves around, and it has 3 rings also that you're dealing with. Now, if you've ever seen the movie Midnight in Paris, this game is exactly that, and you're dealing with the art world and those painters from Paris in that point in time, and those characters will give you special powers if you happen to have those people as part of your play area. And working that rondelle with your painters around there is so much fun. And the first one to finish 2 paintings wins the game. So the pressure's on from the get-go, and you're just exchanging paints and doing different actions trying to get those paintings done before the other player. But this is by Super Meeple also. I forgot about that. But a nice publisher. This is called Colors of Paris. It's a lighter game, but I love it. Every time we get it out and play it, it's light and just fun to play. But the rondelle mechanism in this game will make you work enough that you'll appreciate it. That's number 92. All right, now we moved on to number 91. And in 91 position, I have my rodent games. They're in my library. And I can't wait to talk about them because I love them all. The first one I want to talk about is from 2023, and I want to mention that. I haven't been naming the years, but this one is out this year. It's a brand new game by Sawyer West, and it's called Hickory Dickory. It's a worker rotation game, it says, but I tell you what, it's a worker placement game, but it's so much fun. And again, it's a rondelle, but your mice, you have 4 different shaped mice, and you're going to put them on the hands of this clock. And this thing looks so incredible on the table. It's so pretty to look at. And it's a set collection thing going on with these acrylic tiles, kind of Azul type of tiles that you're going to collect sets of to score points at the end of the game. And it'll just make you think so hard as to when you get off those hands of the clock, because you have to get off in order to take that action. Anyway, you're collecting these acrylic tiles, and you have limited storage space to do so on these character cards for your mice, meeples, or whatever you call them. But this is absolutely a gas, this game, Hickory Dickory. It's so pretty, so wonderful, by Plat Hat Games, and I've enjoyed it. We brought this game home and played it 4 times in a row. Yeah, we couldn't get enough of it, and it's one of the best games of 2023, if not the best.
And it's his first game.
It's his first game, and it's so much fun. There's been some wonderful games come out in 2023, but when it just comes to pure gaming fun, this might be number 1. I don't know, but it's certainly going to stay in our library. The other game I want to talk about is from 2022, I think, and that's First Rat. And this is Gabriel Aiello and Virginio Gigli. And of course, Virginio Gigli is part of that Italian design team that puts out many games, but teamed up with this person in order to make First Rat. And these rats are trying to gather resources and do different things to try to be the first one to get to the moon, build a rocket ship and get to the moon, because they've heard it's made of cheese, and who wouldn't want to go there if the moon's made of cheese? I know I would. And it's simple. You're going to have, I think, 3 rats, and it's a point-to-point movement. You're allowed to move them so many spaces, and you can split the movement up between them and try to land on different spaces. But it's absolutely a hoot and a lot of fun, 1 to 5 players, and you can play this game in 45 minutes. And this is the type of game that we really enjoy, again, because we can get it done in 45 minutes to an hour, and there's something to be said for that. But that's the back of the box. If you haven't seen First Rat or given it a try, I suggest you do. It's by Pegasus Spiel, and we really love this game, First Rat. All right, the last game I'm going to talk about is kind of an exception to the rule for me. And this is Mice and Mystics. Mice and Mystics been out for a lot of years. And
It's also Flathead.
it also Flathead Games, and we owned this game before.
Yes, we did.
And I think I was too serious when I played this game. It's a dice rolling mechanism in it, and you're going to get burned by the dice. And that can be aggravating to a lot of people, and it was aggravating to me at the time. And I think this is a game you just can't take seriously. It's a gorgeous, cute story about guys that have been turned into mice, and they're going to run through the castle and meet and try to challenge themselves against various adventures and obstacles. And you're going to be rolling dice, and sometimes those dice will burn you, but you just move on. Just move on. Read the next page of the story. This is something that's absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best story-driven games I've ever seen, and I like it because it's so magical, the world that you're in when you play this game. And I was again at a board game flea market, and this guy had $35 on it. It was everything in it was still in the shrink, and I said, "Hey, would you take 25?" And then he didn't want to, but he said, "Yeah, if you want it, I'll take $25." So I got it back and put it in my library. Now, we used to have the expansion for this.
Yes.
I'm not going to pursue that.
No.
This, we just like playing just the way it is, and it's got the cute little mice miniatures in it that are adorable. It's by Jerry Hawthorne. This game has survived. It's survived over the years, and it's absolutely the cutest little story-driven game. If you have children that you want to play a story game with, this is fabulous for them. I absolutely adore it, and that's Mice and Mystics. Okay, so those games are my rodent games, and they're number 91 on our Ultimate Top 100. And please take a second on your telephone or on your television or on your computer, whatever you happen to be watching on, and give us a thumbs up for our videos. Again, it just does so much to help us out, and we appreciate it more than I can possibly tell you. Please subscribe. Please tell others to subscribe. And please keep on board gaming. Because of games like this, it's the best hobby on the daggone planet. See you the next time on The Bones Collector. Bye-bye.